Alright, welcome back to another episode of the NFL predictions. Today we got week 13 lined up, and it's gonna be a special one. I'm working together with Brian Sullivan from MadMen Sports today, and I'm really glad to have him on the show today. The video is also gonna be up on his channel, which you should definitely go check out, MadMen Sports on YouTube. The link is in the description. They make incredible stuff over there, and if you like my content, you're gonna love theirs. Quick recap about last week. I did really well, improved my record, and I'm happy with how the week turned out. Let's get right into it. We're going to talk about the four kind of most critical games that's going to happen this week, so we'll hop right into it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special collaborative episode of MadMen Sports and Beyond Football combined into one. I'm Brian Sullivan alongside Alex, and we are collaborating for the first time to give you guys some in-depth analysis of these big games. Alex, how are you doing today?
I'm doing perfectly fine, man. Can't wait to get into this.
Yeah, right? We don't have the most exciting slate of games, but there are a lot of games with some big playoff implications. So here's how this is going to work. We're going to just talk about the four biggest games of the week, and then at the end we'll give you all the rest of our picks. By the way, if you're watching this from my channel, great. If you're watching this from my channel, make sure you check out Beyond Football. He does some great film breakdowns, some picks of his own. He's got a pretty good track record throughout the whole year. If you want to check out his record or anything like that, all the information will be in the description. And if you're watching from his channel, I appreciate if you check me out. But if not, that's all good. But that's why we're here. So let's start with a Thursday night game. We got the Dallas Cowboys hosting the red-hot New Orleans Saints, where when you look back at it, it's mind-boggling that the Buccaneers somehow managed to beat this Saints team. Who you got in this one? The Saints are 7.5-point favorites.
Yeah, I wanna make an impression here, but I'm not gonna go full out insane. I'm gonna go with the Saints, man. They're the best team in the NFL right now, and I think if you're not a Cowboys fan, you tend to hate the Cowboys and you want them to lose. And I'm not trying to let that cloud my mind here, but I got the Saints. This is the right pick.
Yeah, and just to be clear, we're not doing I'm doing the spreads just for reference. We're not doing spread picks. We're just doing straight up.
Yeah, we're just doing.
Yeah. So, no, I'm with you. I think the Saints win this game. They're a dome team, so really going into Dallas shouldn't throw them off too much. You look at that offensive line against that talented Dallas defensive line. The Saints are one of the few teams that kind of have the offensive firepower that can counter that. Just to play devil's advocate, though, what do you think Dallas would have to do to be able to pull off an upset here?
Shout down that explosive offense. I think Drew Brees is making a push for the MVP right now, which he hasn't won in his entire career yet. So it's getting close, and he's actually a front runner in my opinion right now.
Yes.
I think you gotta shut down the passing game first and foremost. You gotta get there, and you gotta cover those guys downfield.
Yeah, absolutely. And while I do think Dallas has some good coverage guys and a really good defense, there's really not a defense in the league that feels like it can shut down the Saints offense. So
not consistently.
Yeah, no. So we're in agreement so far, 1-for-1 in a game that I think most people agree with us there. So now moving on to another game that I feel like would be a lot more interesting if it was flip-flopped with home field. The Patriots are at this moment 6.5-point favorites hosting the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings coming off a huge win against Green Bay. Do you think they can pull off this upset here?
I don't think they can do it, man. They're playing Bill Belichick, best coach in sports right now, and they just placed Andrew Sendejo, their star safety, on IR as well, so he's not going to be available. And Kirk Cousins has kind of been getting worse and worse over this season, so I don't think they're going to be able to stick up with the Patriots. I think they're going to march through and make the playoffs at just those three losses.
Yeah, I agree. I've got the Patriots in this game too. Until proven otherwise, I'm going to pick Bill Belichick and Tom Brady at home in December or in January in just about every game. They'll
tend to just get better as the season goes along, so I don't have a doubt they're going to win this.
Yeah, exactly. And albeit it was against the Jets, I was watching just a little bit of the film, and the Patriots are so disciplined in coverage. I'll be really curious to see how they match up against this Vikings receiving core. I think that's kind of the key matchup there. And while the Patriots don't have the best pass rush, the Vikings don't have the best offensive line. So the Patriots' weakness is kind of offset by the Vikings' offense. I think the Patriots kind of have all the key matchups here. And I think there's a reason it's such a big spread. I think that the Patriots are going to win, and they'll probably win pretty comfortably by about 10 points.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I like how you brought up that point of discipline. I think that's one of the most underrated qualities of Coach Belichick there. He's not only just a defensive mind. He's keeping the team together in a better way than we've seen anyone do. and otherwise you don't make almost 20 years as a head coach in the NFL.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, I think we're both in agreement there where you watch the Patriots, it's not always flashy, it's not always super physical or super dominant, but they're always in the right place, and their mantra, do your job, they really do that to perfection.
They don't really get those unnecessary penalties a lot.
Yeah, I believe they're the least penalized team in the NFL right now, so hit the nail on the head there. So moving on to probably the game of the week, there's a reason it was flexed, and I looked at your pick. I think it's the one game we'll be in disagreement with. We got the Chargers heading into Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Huge playoff implications. Chargers looking to try and take over the AFC West, and they pretty much need to win out. Steelers looking to keep a grasp not only on the AFC North, but also possibly get themselves one of those first two first-round buys. Who do you have in this one?
I actually have the LA Chargers. Now, we've seen the Patriots and the Chiefs duke it out earlier this season. I think this is the other game of kind of the favorite teams in the AFC for possibly Super Bowl contention. I got the Chargers. Now, I just saw that Melvin Gordon obviously is questionable with his knee, and I'm kind of relying on him actually showing up. If he doesn't, it's going to be tough because the Chargers, well, their big advantage is that I think they're ranked like 6th or 7th in rushing in the league, and the Steelers are 28. So they're going to have to pound it out on the ground. Phillip Rivers is playing a great season, but so is Ben. Yes. I'm relying on Melvin Gordon here. Got to admit that.
Yeah. So also the Steelers are 3.5-point favorites right now, which feels like the perfect spread for this game. I'm actually going to take. I'm going to take the Steelers here, and I'm a little reluctant to do so. I actually root for the Chargers, but when you look at this, the Steelers are coming off those back-to-back road games, and I feel like we see this so much. They're possibly the most inconsistent team in the entire league, where one week you get a 52-21 blowout against a surging Carolina team, and then the next week you're down 16-0 in Jacksonville, and it takes a fourth quarter fireworks show to end up even winning that game. And this feels like one of those games now where everyone's a little down on the Steelers. They're coming off a loss to Denver. Both these teams actually just lost to Denver, kind of ironically. But they're back at home. It's where they're comfortable. It doesn't look like Melvin Gordon's going to play. And while Austin Eckler is a phenomenal role player, a role running back with minimal touches, he doesn't quite have the size to really be a consistent every down runner. I'm a little interested to see how the Chargers they'll probably up their pace in this, maybe run a few more screens, run a little more spread offense. I think you're right, it's going to be a high-scoring game, but this feels like one of those games where no matter how well the Chargers defense plays, they're just not going to be able to stop Ben.
Yeah, I think you're right on Eckler. I think he's not going to be the guy to give you 25 touches a game for 150 yards. He's not built for that. Yeah. And, if Melvin Gordon doesn't play, I think you got a point. I think the Steelers are favored in terms of offensive weapons. They surely have one of the best squads in the league there. What you mentioned with the consistency is also kind of the thing that makes Ben Roethlisberger like the most frustrating quarterback to have in fantasy football.
Yes.
Like 1 week he'll put up 500 yards and 6 touchdowns, and win the game, and the next day he'll score like 5 points.
Yep. And he'll always get you those 500 yards when he's on your bench, and he'll always get you those 5 points when he's in your starting lineup. Because
they're good against top 10 defenses too when you never start him. Like you start him against Cleveland the last few years and he gets sacked 15 times.
Exactly. But again, and then put him up against a Carolina team that at the time was looking really good. And that's the thing is this Chargers defense has been looking very good, but I think it's got the talent. They definitely do, really explosive players, but I think they've been a little overrated just because their schedule has been so weak when it comes to playing explosive offenses. So we've seen them, whether it was against the Rams or Chiefs, they can be carved up by elite offenses, like most defenses are. So, and finally, moving on to the last game, a game that doesn't seem super exciting on paper, especially when it comes to the fact that it's Colt McCoy versus a reeling Eagles team. But this game is huge because the winner of this game stays alive in the NFC least at this point. So, if the Redskins can win this game, go into Philly and pull off an upset, they can prove that maybe they still have a shot, a puncher's chance at making the playoffs, and proving that they can win a few games with a backup quarterback. And if the Eagles win, suddenly teams are on their heels. The defending champs are back in the driver's seat, potentially, assuming that the Saints handle business against Dallas. So who do you have in this Monday night matchup?
I got the Philadelphia Eagles to win this. Now, first of all, they're going to take advantage of Alex Smith now being out for the season, and the Redskins kind of being out for the season as well. I don't think they're going to make waves in that division anymore. And it's kind of weird that we're talking about the Cowboys and Coach 500 to be the favorites to win that division.
Yeah.
goes to show you how weak that's been this year. But I think the Philadelphia Eagles are now in the crucial point of the schedule. If they want to even make the playoffs and get a shot at repeating as champions, they got to win this week. And they got to win next week because they're going to Jerry World. And they got to come up with 2 W's. And if they don't, then I don't think they're going to go very far.
Yeah, absolutely agree. They have a matchup coming up with the Rams in, I believe, 2 weeks. And that feels like impending doom. So they need to win these division games. I'm going to go with the Eagles as well. I do think that if this was in Washington, that maybe Washington would have a little more of a chance, because I actually don't think that this loss of Alex Smith is as bad as people think, because this Redskins team was never really built on throwing the football. They were built on running the football and playing really good defense. But Alex Smith still does bring that stability that you really don't have with Colt McCoy, especially against a defense that, although it hasn't quite lived up to expectations, you've still got a defensive line that's absolutely loaded. And even though the secondary has kind of been a mess for Philadelphia, you still have Malcolm Jenkins. So you have playmakers on this defense, and I feel like that turnover that'll really be the difference. This offensive line is also a little banged up for Washington. Really got to feel for Washington fans, because this is 2 years in a row now where injuries have just ravaged their season.
Oh, yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's time for the Eagles to step up or shut up right now, and that starts this week. There's no more excuses. If they lose this game, it's over. Absolutely. I don't know if you heard this, but it literally just happened. But the Redskins just claimed Reuben Foster off of waivers off the 49ers.
Yeah, I did see that. I think that's a very... I'm not really going to get into the controversy of that, but
questionable move.
What's not questionable is that he's a very talented player. Now, I'm not really sure if he's even going to see the field or not, but if anything, it feels a little too late. I guess if you're a team in Washington's position, maybe make a risky move like that, but I don't know. Yeah, that's definitely an interesting storyline, at least, that I'm sure we'll see a little more of.
He's not going to play this weekend, actually. He's not allowed to play until his legal stuff is done, until his arrest is dealt with. So the NFL actually placed him on an exempt list there. But if he actually turns out to turn his life around and make it happen, I mean, it's a good addition. But I don't think he does. And speaking as a 49er fan, I mean, it hurts me in the heart, but I'm glad we got rid of him. It's like Alden Smith, and that's just too soon. I mean, that happened before, and you just can't have that.
No, exactly. And the Niners, they're still heading in the right direction. Who knows? Maybe they'll even end up getting that first overall pick, and then hello, Nick Bosa. You can forget.
He actually just ended his college career.
Yes, and I'm totally fine with that. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
you won't put your future on the line when you're set to make millions next spring. So that makes sense. Yeah, let's not talk about the Niners too much, man. It was a lost season. I mean, their entire offense got hurt, so they're just bringing out second and third string guys every single week.
And hey, that's all right. So I mean, I'm sure for you it's not, but you've got the future lined up. It's tank season. And speaking of the 49ers, you can see the rest of our picks right here, right now. We're not going to go into all these other games. And again, as you can see, when we're picking 3 of our 4 games, our touchdown spreads, it goes to show that this isn't the most exhilarating week. But I still feel like we, again, pick some of the games that will have the biggest impact. Hopefully some of these games will be a little closer than my gut's telling me. But yeah, that's pretty much our show. Alex, you got anything else you want to throw out there before we wrap up?
I want to thank you for being featured on your show, man. It was great collabing with you, and glad to do it again. Still hoping for the Chargers to win, so I can one-up you there. But other than that, thank you for having me.
Look, I will be more than happy to give up the L to you if it means my Chargers win that game. So we have the same rooting interest there. It was a pleasure having you on. Pleasure being on your channel as well. And looking forward to working with you again sometime. So
very much so, yeah. Thank you.
So guys, again, make sure you follow him on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter as well. All of the information will be in the description of the videos. Check him out on YouTube. Some great, football technicalities. Really understands the game when it comes to the X's and O's. I was very impressed. And hopefully you'll be seeing more of these in the future. I'm Brian Sullivan. That was Alex, and we'll see you next time.
Again, thanks to Brian Sullivan for this collaboration. It's been a pleasure to work with you, and we're hopefully going to do this again in the future. If you liked it, then please show appreciation for that by leaving a like on my video and also on his. Thank you for watching this video. Again, hop on over to MadMen Sports and the MadMenSports.com. Check out some of their stuff, and I'm going to see you in the next video.